What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful evening. It's late, but that's okay. It's beautiful weather. It's the weekend. I'm like, let me go ahead and get caught up on my content. You know what I mean? Holler at my people. Listen, Aces, Dorit from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is not going to be reconciling with her husband, PK. As you guys may have already seen this picture right here. He is caught outside by the Paps, okay? The paparazzi got him and Miss Shauna Wall from The Amazing Race smooched up, okay? So listen, on the reunion, Andy asked the about their relationship, the status of their relationship, and you could tell that Dorit was a bit hesitant. She said that she still loved him, that he was her all in all. He was the wind beneath her wings, child. Okay. Well, I guess after she saw that picture, she said, cut these wings and let me go about my business because PK is moving like Mauricio, right? He got him a PYT all out in the open, just disrespectful with it, right? We're going to get into this article from TMZ. I feel like they called the paparazzi just to make sure that they are seen, hugged up and kissed up on all these young girls. I'm telling you, between him, Mauricio, Shannon Sharp, all these men, middle-aged, 50, 60 something year old men chasing after these young girls. Like when I was college age, I mean, I'm not that old now, but when I was like, 19, 20, 19, 22, I started college when I was 17. So it's like 17 to like 21 or whatever, 22. And even in grad school, like, but I didn't want to date, people that was significantly older than me. And even like I said, now that I'm older, I wouldn't want to date anybody significantly younger than me. Not that I'm knocking, Tracy Ellis Ross, do you, but I just like to stick with people within my age range because I feel like if you go too old or too young, it's not going to work because you're at different places in your life, and that's okay. You're supposed to be in different seasons of your life, but all these middle-aged men chasing after these young girls, I feel like it's more of a status symbol than anything else. Like they're not serious, which is why again they keep, Mo in the airport, PK outside of a restaurant, and I really feel like it's a dig at their soon-to-be ex-wives from Beverly Hills. They wanted to be the star and to have the cameras on them for a change. TMZ writes that Dorit Kemsley will not be reconciling with her husband. She is done. She filed to divorce PK, and it looks like a custody war could be brewing. TMZ has learned. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star filed her petition Friday, today. Okay, she said she saw in pictures it was a wrap. In LA County, according to the docs obtained by TMZ, she is asking for sole legal and physical custody of their two children, 11-year-old Jagger and 9-year-old Phoenix. They sound like they're gonna grow up to be in like rock bands. I feel like maybe that's where they got their names from. They're real cool names though for young boys. In the divorce docs filed by Dorit's powerhouse attorney, Samantha Spector, she requests spousal support from PK. They've been married since March of 2015, so just over the 10-year mark. Which is smart, right? Because I feel like, and I think I heard this somewhere, that once they make it past 10 years in California, it becomes community property, and the spouse that's filing for divorce gets half. They announced their separation in May of 2024. Sources connected to the couple tell us that they do not have a prenup, so she may just be walking away with half. Smart, Dorit. Interestingly, PK was at Caprini's in New York City Thursday night. He was making out with Shauna Wall, an Amazing Race contestant who also used to date Ryan Seacrest. Every time I listen, and Ryan Seacrest he gonna keep a hosting gig, okay? He gonna host some kind of, TV show. But every time I think about Ryan Seacrest, I always think of that meme with Britney Spears when they're talking, and she's like, girl, like she's sitting between the two. She's like, girl, she mouths it and she looks so confused because Ryan, he he he's very dapper. He's very well dressed, well groomed. And so Britney Spears was a little confused as to why he would be dating a girl. But he used to date Shauna Wall, who is now linked with PK. So on the show, PK and Dorit frequently argued about his boozing, and he admitted having a problem. She also told him that his alcohol made him, quote, a bad father, which could explain her request for sole custody. PK has recently said that he's been sober for more than a year. Listen, when Kathy Hilton, asked him, or she, when they were having the, lunch at her house, the Capri theme lunch, she's like, oh, well, PK's a good father, isn't he? And Dorit's like, wrong. She's quick with it. She was quick. She did not hesitate. She let us know that PK is not a good father. Now, listen, if he had a drinking problem, then he was unable to be present for his children, which is unfortunate because, 9 and 11 are young kids. They need their father. And I'm not, all kids need their father, right? But 9 and 11 are those years where, you're in adolescence and you really need that guidance during that time. So hopefully he can stay sober and really be more of a presence for his children. The fact Dorit and PK were together for more than 10 years could be critical when it comes to spousal support. In California, it means that PK could be on the hook indefinitely or until Dorit remarries. Now, see, if she's anything like Sutton, right? Miss Sutton, my wallet is bigger than your strap. Okay. The smart thing to do would to have that alimony come in every month and just date around and, live your best life. But we'll see. Because word on the curb is PK don't really have the coin like Sutton's ex-husband Christian did. Because he, the whole issue with the house being in quote unquote pre-foreclosure. And alcohol's not cheap. So we'll see how much she gets, and I'll keep you guys updated, but this is very interesting. PK is a property developer and a talent manager whose clients have included Boy George and Pele. Oh, so first of all, he's no spring chicken, but I'm like, Boy George, that is a throwback. I haven't heard anything from Boy George since the 80s. Wasn't he the one who sang, Come, Camellia? That is old school for real. Okay, shout out to Boy George, Listen, those royalty checks are still coming in, I see. When we spoke to Dorit last summer, she sounded kind of open to the possibility of patching things up with PK, telling us that she was taking it one day at a time and that they were both focusing on their kids. Okay. Well, listen. Andy said it best, right? When he said he looked around that room and he said, there's not one wife in sight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that Kathy Hilton was still married to her husband. Was it Rick? I guess not. That's what Andy said. And so Dorit, she put the cap on it tonight. She said, oh no, you're not going to be out here embarrassing me in public. I'm not Kyle. Kissing on, a younger version, because that's exactly what it looks like. Sean Hall, she's a gorgeous woman, but she looks like a younger version of Dorit, blonde, thin, petite. She looks like a Dorit 2.0. So he definitely has a type. But Dorit said, what you're not about to do is have your cake and eat it too. You ain't about to be out here, kissing on all these young girls, embarrassing me, and then coming in my face like I'm Kyle Richards. I don't think so. Because Kyle, unfortunately, her whole identity is wrapped up in, being a wife and a mother. And I mean, it's almost like she feels like she doesn't know what to do now that, Portia's almost out of the house, her youngest. She says she'll be going to college in a year and a half. But she doesn't even want to sell the house, of course, until her last leaves, which I get. But I feel like it's more than that. I feel like she does not want to, give up the, the identity of being wife, mother, etc. Although she did take wife out of her Instagram bio, which I thought was interesting. But Dorit Kemsley, she's like, no, I'm not Kyle. You're not about to play in my face like that. So if you out here kissing girls, and making sure that the paparazzi, takes your picture while you're doing it, then let's give them something to talk about. She called her lawyer and she filed today. I don't blame her. I don't, because the disrespect, like people will really only disrespect you as much as you let them. You have to put those boundaries down. You have to let them know that you're not the one to play with. PK, man, like he's a stunt queen. He really is. I feel like the men the men on the Housewives shows between Patricia I'm not gonna call him Patricia. Peter Thomas from Atlanta, always in the women's business, all in the videos dancing. it's like it's like certain men really are clout chasers, honestly. Like you have on one hand, Shamia's husband Gerald, he didn't even want to be on the show. Like he didn't even want to be on Atlanta. He didn't want her to be, on Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I feel like he was doing that because he's wise enough to know that being in the limelight, is not necessarily always good for your relationship. It's not good for your family, all that extra scrutiny and headache. It's just not a good thing. And then Shamia, he relented because he loves his wife, but he's rarely on camera. Whereas you have other house husbands, so to speak, the husbands on the Real Housewives franchise shows, whether it's Beverly Hills, Atlanta, whatever, they love the limelight. They are clout chasers. Simon, right? Simon Gabadia, he loved the clout. He was always on social media digging at Portia. He won't be anymore though. He's, in ICE custody. But before that, you could tell that he really enjoyed all the attention. Like he was showing off all his different cars and all this stuff. And it's just like, sir, none of that matters if you don't have your freedom. But with Dorit, I feel like everything was good in their relationship until she got on the show. And then once PK saw that she started, getting some attention, getting limelight, of course, getting the Bravo checks, starting her own, bathing suit line, and she was really starting to blossom, that's when he, his insecurities started coming to the forefront. And he would say things, he would like dig at her, try to diminish her, just try to dim her light. People like that are dangerous. People like that are really dangerous. You want to find someone who's supportive. Like I love Serena Williams' husband, like Alexis. He's a multi-million. No, I think he's a billionaire actually. One of the co-founders of Reddit. But he's very, supportive of his wife. He never tries to dim her light. Like Russell Wilson in Sierra. He's really supportive. He doesn't try to dim her light, and he's successful in his own right. When men have their own, success, then they don't try to diminish yours. And I feel like PK for a while, he was successful, but if you're, you have a drinking problem and then your home goes into quote unquote pre-foreclosure and you're having all these financial issues and you look over and your spouse is doing a lot better than you, then it becomes an issue. I feel like it reminded me of Tia Mowry and her husband, Corey Hardrick. I think that's how you say his name. But yeah, Corey, he wasn't working as much as Tia. He was, I feel like he was, a bit jealous. And jealousy is a dangerous thing, especially in a relationship. So it's unfortunate, but Dorit, she did what she had to do. She felt like, that was the best thing for her and her children. So hopefully, because he was sending, PK was sending her messages talking about, you're going to have to pay this and I'm going to cut you off here and all that. That's another thing, right? Make sure you have your own. Like, don't, ladies and gentlemen, do not depend on anybody to completely take care of you financially, because you're giving them essentially the power over your whole life, and you don't want that. You want to be able to stand on your own 2 feet at all times, even if your partner does pay all the bills, which is great, right? You still want to work. You still want to have your money, put it in savings account, invest it, whatever you need to do, but make sure that you have that nest egg. Even our grandparents and great grandparents will always have some money put up, that just in case, that rainy fund, that just in case my husband, spouse, partner, whatever acts a fool. You need to have a nest egg to be able to take care of yourself and your children. So Dorit is smart in that, and like I said, I hope the PK has enough to pay her adequate child support and alimony, because according to Garcelle and Word on the Curb is that break in. And all this issue with their home. I don't know, PK's pockets might be a little questionable, allegedly. I don't know. Nobody really knows except them, but it may be Sutton, right? Where she was like, my wallet's bigger than yours. Beverly Hills is a trip, man. I took some time off from watching Beverly Hills, but I might have to go back to the original seasons, because Beverly Hills is a mess. Oh my goodness gracious. And I feel like Erica Jane, she might not be off the hook for her husband's, his dealings with the whole, stealing the money from the burn victims. She still might be on the hook for that. And rightfully so, if she knew, you know what I mean? Like, that's unacceptable. But we will keep you updated on this story. I just want to bring you the breaking news that Dorit Kemsley has officially filed for divorce from PK, which I feel like he wanted. He was not only antagonizing her with, his words. She called him a monster on the show. She said he was screaming, and, behind closed doors, he was just not kind. They went to counseling, and she said that he blew up, even in therapy. He has anger issues. I feel like he has a lot of things that he needs to work through, in addition to the drinking. That just compounds everything that was going on. But you don't want to be around people like that. You definitely don't want people like that around your children, influencing them. That's the last thing you need. So I feel like PK definitely needs to work on himself. But in the meantime and in between time, he was, out in public, making sure that the paparazzi caught him kissing Miss Wall. I'm sorry, that's her last name, Shauna Wall. And I feel like it was just another dig at Dorit, and she got sick of it. You can only take so much, you know what I mean? If somebody lets you know repeatedly, like a lot of people's grandma told them, never let a man let or tell you more than once that he does not want you. PK has told her numerous times and in numerous ways, if he's yelling at you, cussing at you, being just disrespectful, blowing up, in the therapist's office, which is crazy, right? Y'all go to therapy trying to work it out. He over here screaming and acting a fool. Then he's telling you, you're going to have to pay for this. I'm going to cut you off here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And kissing somebody in public to make sure that the paparazzi is there to capture it. Like, he's told you multiple times and in multiple ways that he does not want to be with you, that he wants to end the relationship. So I'm glad that Dorit stepped up called her lawyer and did what she needed to do. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.